oh, I tripped and fell and made a bad 8-minute section of my movie.
You're still listening. This is our final transmission.
Here, Jamie. It's Sam Russo. It's Jamie Carruthers. It's the Final Transmission podcast where we cover one horror movie a week from the dawn of time till the end of time. Welcome to Argentina. How you doing, Jamie?
I'm doing fantastically. I think I just saw Hitler. He was
What?
He was wasn't he hiding out in Argentina after the war? Wasn't that?
I see.
Is that the thing?
A, don't know. B, super weird segue. Carry on. If I say Argentina, you say Hitler. That doesn't feel...
This is a crowd chant, right? When I say Argentina, you say
Hitler.
Argentina.
Yeah. No, not going to do it. Don't point at me, you fuck. You dug this hole. You can crawl out of it.
So if you were subscribed to the Patreon, you would know that we were just talking about Sam's Nazi SS t-shirt.
No, we weren't. We were talking about sunning your butthole.
Well, these are all things that we talked about.
And we were talking about a no trigger t-shirt. It's very different, boys and girls. I can see you having to start this again, Jamie.
No, this is all.
You're carrying on.
It's gold, Jerry. Gold.
Digging to the core of the earth. So what are we doing today, Jamie?
We're going to talk about an Argentinian horror film called When Evil Lurks.
That's the one.
That's the one. That's it.
Why are you making that face?
Because every time I try it, I always want to say where or while, but it's when.
You also keep saying Argentinian, which is quite funny.
Argentinian. That's how the locals say it.
The Argentinian film Whilst Evil Lurks. Whomst Evil Lurks. So, listen.
So I want to say Argentine and Argentinian, but so they're coming together to be Argentinian.
Argentinian. Good start. So you'd never seen this fucking movie, had you?
I had not. Had you?
No.
Okay, good.
No. Safe no from me.
Worth saying that this is our first listener recommendation, listener request.
Who requested it?
This was requested by one of our patrons. Let's give a shout out to our patron, Ben Small, for paying his money and requesting this movie.
Shut up. Ben Small requested this.
Yeah.
Good Lord. If you're a fan of the sound of who Ben Small might be, check out a little band called Throwing Stuff. They got a bass player sitting directly opposite me right now. His name's Jamie Carruthers. Check him out. Give him a peep. Give him a listen. Ben's not single, so call your jets. Turns out. Fresh news.
It's not fresh at all. They've been together for like over a year.
Yeah, I know, but that's not been my problem until quite soon. So, listen, Ben requesting this is huge news. That changes the very lens through which I watched this film. Why wasn't I made privy to this information?
I guess because you don't read the messages in the group chat where he said, will you cover this movie?
That's exactly what happened there. You said it, I didn't read it.
He said it, you didn't read it.
Yeah, and that's fine. Okay, so that massively implies that Ben's a fan of this film.
You would expect so.
Either that or he's fucking with us.
I don't think he's fucking with us.
In many ways, he's done us a solid there because this is at least available on Shudder, which is what Jamie does after he goes to the toilet. Shudder is a streaming service you can access on the internet, so watch this film there if you think it sounds good. And you'll know if it sounds good when Jamie gives you a synopsis in just a moment.
Okay. So we're in what I would assume is an alternative Argentina where demonic possession is commonplace.
That's already a radical take.
Is it? That's literally the text of the movie.
I think this is the real Argentina.
Okay. Well, the two farmers, Pedro and Jimmy, come across a infected, rotten, possessed, whatever the phrase is, man in a local farmhouse or a local homestead of some kind. And within the lore of the movie, they explain that, like, a possessed person doesn't just like do fucked up possessed shit. They also kind of just infect the world around them and make the world a shitty place. So they decide to, along with another farmer or a landowner, they decide to move this possessed body out of their jurisdiction into somebody, so it's somebody else's problem. And things don't quite go to plan. Hijinks ensue.
Crikey. He's pulled out a hijinks ensue from his back pocket.
Yeah, the Sammy Spesh.
It's a pretty adroit little summary there, Jamie. Well played.
Yeah, I mean, no big spoilers, but I actually really liked this movie. I wasn't expecting to.
Why were you not expecting to?
I don't know. I really liked
Ben Small, that's why.
I really liked the director Damien Ruña's previous movie. It was called Terrified or Atarados, if you speak the lingo, which, I mean, apparently I do. I can't say Argentinian, but I can say Atarados.
Very good.
Which means terrified. And I thought that was great. Like, a similar sensibility, but that felt a lot more Hollywood in its construction. Whereas, I mean, we'll talk a little bit about some of the observations that I have about the construction of this. I feel like it, I don't know, maybe adheres to different cinematic rules that maybe Hollywood and Western movies or UK the movies that we're used to seeing that maybe don't adhere to. But yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was, there were some moments where I was like, oh, holy fuck.
You were shocked.
It's been a while since I've been in an actual gasp situation.
Wow. Well, that's refreshing to know that you hadn't seen a film a billion times and yet you were able to make some kind of instant positive connection with it. That sounds really good. That's a positive start.
So I've read a lot online, particularly on Reddit, a lot of contentious takes, and I am of a mind that you might be on the other side of the road on this one, but I don't know for sure. What can you give me a little insight into your experience?
Which side of the road do you think I'm on?
The maybe didn't like it as much side of the road, or at all?
Yeah, it's a tricky one because I'm trying to hide my true feelings. I think this is absolutely spectacular. This is one of the best horror films I've ever seen.
Oh wow, okay,
this
good.
Is fucking top shelf shit from front to back. Yeah, I was blown away. I went in with zero expectations, as always, fairly open-minded. I actually watched this in the bath, which is, I was just so busy at the moment that I just thought to myself, it's either watch the movie or have a bath. And I was like, do you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to do both. So
you're so busy, but you've got time for 100-minute bath.
I didn't quite do the full 100 minutes. I definitely broke the back of the movie in the bath. I'll tell you that much for free. But yeah, I have to fit my bath in, Jamie. There's plenty of things that fall by the wayside to allow me to have a boiling hot, mind-wiping scorcher of a bath. So I started watching it in the bath and I was like, fucking, this deserves better. This turns out this is going to be a fucking banger. And I'd actually already said to Claire, like, I've got no idea what this film is. And Jamie's just told me it's Argentinian. So I don't want to like put you through the risk. You go do your own thing. Because many times I've sat her down and been like, this movie for the pod I think is going to be sick. And then it's been fucking dog shit. So I just wasn't willing to put another human through it. And then when it finished, I was like, fuck, I think I've just seen the best movie since The Exorcist. I think this is going to be hard because I don't really have anything bad to say about it. I just think it's fucking savagely brilliant.
Well, that's good. Like, you don't have to say anything bad. You can just tell us why you think it's good. And you can do that directly after this break.
We'll be right back.
Whoa, holy shit. I guess that's why they call it Phantom Power.
So, all right, Sam, I'm back. You're back. We're both back in Argentina.
What a beautiful, beautiful place this movie inhabits. Just gorgeous.
A thing that I thought watching this movie, a thing that I think maybe is a reason that you like it that maybe you hadn't considered.
Go on.
And not to just compare this, Argentinian auteur horror director with like a mainstream Hollywood director, But this movie looks like a James Mangold movie. It looks like the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. It looks like fucking the Wolverine movie that he did. Even like Walk the Line a bit. Like it has that same sort of hue and a similar sort of filmmaking approach. And I was like, wow. Like, I wonder if James Mangold and this guy just have the exact same influences. Because I can't imagine this director sitting down and being like, I want to make a film that looks like a James Mangold film, but I don't want to do anything else that is sort of remotely mainstream Hollywood-y.
Right. It's a hot take. I think there's a lot to be said for directors who are able to just capture the essence of a beautiful rural setting and to do so in a way that feels so much more natural than the process of capturing it actually is. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's an enormous production to make something look like that. And yet there's this naturalistic quality to all of the setting work where you just feel like, oh, that's exactly where the sun was in the sky when they shot this, and it all just happened wonderfully. Probably took a fucking 1,000 days to get that shot just right. To me, it has bags of early Jeff Nichols just dripping off it. Like Shotgun Stories era Jeff Nichols, Mud era Jeff Nichols to a certain extent. Jeremy Saulnier, I thought a little bit, not quite as, I think nicer, to be honest. I think a much more appealing, even-handed approach to colors and hue and to be honest, like a lot of angle choices and cinematography and stuff I just fucking really enjoyed.
Yeah, so I feel like this maybe had more money behind it than most of the Jeremy Saulnier movies that we've the ones that we're talking about here, like Blue Ruin. Or,
yeah, there's
because
a grainy quality there that's maybe not entirely stylistic. Do you know what I mean? Whereas this looks so slick, but not just you've thrown money at it slick. It just looks really artfully done, and it obviously comes from. I think it resonates with someone like me in a movie where the place and the sense of the place means something to the director. Like, this isn't like I was location spotting in Argentina and I found this great village. This is like his home. You know, this is there's something in this that resonates with him really deeply, and he's portrayed the scenery and all of the mise en scène. Everything is fucking gorgeous as far as I'm concerned.
Sort of like that first album thing where it's like the first 6 years of being a band, you've written all your best songs and you're able to like make that first album be really amazing because it's all the stuff that you've been playing for years and years.
Yeah, and if not amazing in terms of production value, then amazing in terms of resonance, because you've pushed so hard to have the impact felt. And that rings true throughout this to me, but especially in that visual sensibility. Because it's a horror movie that doesn't feel even remotely like a horror movie at times. Or if you stripped all the audio out, it just wouldn't be a horror movie at all for huge chunks of this. It would be a beautiful, heart-wrenching family drama with really strong narrative-led elements and beautifully rendered characters. And then what's really fun is that we get some absolutely batshit horror thrown in. It's like a compendium of horror movies. It's got everything. It's got. Are we in spoilers? Yeah, we are. It's got zombies. It's got.
It's got Cujo. It's got
Cujo. It's got mutants. It's basically got melts. It's got tons of gore. It's got mega violence.
Kids.
Yeah, it's got Children of the Corn. It's a genre romp, but it's 10 different genres.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a romp though.
No, because the music is stunning. The pace is so beautifully slow. There's so much time spent developing character and relationships. It just does not fuck up, as far as I'm concerned. I'm dying to hear what these little Reddit boys want to bring to the table. But
I didn't pay too much heed to the Reddit chuds because they're not right. Yeah. I think most of them were just like, oh, it's boring.
I was fucking riveted to this film. If this is what bores people, then I don't think I know how to be bored. This was like, I was bolted to this from start to finish. I mean, it helps that it's subtitled. You know, that sucks you in a slightly different way, right? You have to pay a lot of attention to really follow every beat and every nuance of dialogue in a subtitled movie. So that helped.
Yeah, there was one scene or shot that I thought looked like absolute dog shit. You know how I'm always trying to give directors a pass because I'm like, is this on purpose? Is this Is this a choice?
Yeah.
When they're driving Uzrael in the back of the pickup, and there's all these interior shots of the pickup. It's the worst fucking green screen, like poor man's like process, fuck bullshit I've ever seen in a movie. There are movies from the 40s that do that way better. Do
There
you know
was
what I
something
mean?
strange in the motion.
Yeah.
there. Specifically the motion work. I don't know if it's the mount or like something strange there, but I liked it because it felt kind of jaunty, and the scene was obviously not jaunty.
Yeah. Like, there's part of me is like, everything else in this entire movie is so carefully considered, and
Yeah.
like all of the tension like builds in a really deliberate way. Like, why would this happen? Why is this the thing that would be, oh, I tripped and fell and made a bad 8-minute section of my movie? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. It's again, same as you, I think. I wasn't even going as far as to try and like give him the benefit of the doubt. I just wasn't thinking about why. I was just sort of enjoying that it was weird and totally non sequitur with the rest of the look of the movie. And I quite like the front view. We don't get a lot of like front view car stuff with from the bonnet in anymore, because people love those side angles a lot more, and we have the technology now to go super tight on people inside cars and stuff. So
Yeah.
part of it was like, oh, this feels kind of a bit of a throwback. I'm quite enjoying this. Felt a bit soap opera almost.
yeah, no, I know what you mean. I found it so weird.
Yeah. I'd have to watch it again to know if I thought it looked shit. But I just kind of enjoyed the whole scene when they had this horribly contagious, demonic, rotten corpse in the back of their pickup truck, and they're just fucking cruising around trying to look for somewhere to dump it. The humor in the movie is desperately bleak and dark.
Yeah.
Like, when there's something funny, you feel so bad for laughing at it, because holy fuck does it take you to some uncomfortable places. But do you know what I love? It doesn't do the thing that Martyrs does, or that some of our other hyper gory, insanely graphic movies have done. It doesn't go to that extreme, what's it called? Extreme Italy or something?
New French extremity.
That's it, New French extremeitaly.com. It doesn't go there. Fuck that. It just stays on the right side of every trap for me. And you're navigating a fucking minefield making this movie. And I just think it's such a testament to the filmmaking that they just don't fall into a single pitfall of a genre or a temptation to go too far. Again, just for my taste. But all those boxes are fucking ticked in permanent ink.
Yeah, I think like similar to Fright Night, which I know we didn't quite agree on, but my take on Fright Night was that it commits to these bits that, like, obviously it doesn't maintain sort of consistency throughout. It just sort of commits to whatever's happening in front of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like this kind of does the same thing.
Yeah.
So like we get these sort of horror short films that are linked by this sort of narrative through line. And it's almost like the director, Damien Runye, sat down and was like, well, okay, what things do I want to happen in my movie? How do I get from exploding point blank shoot a goat in the face to Cujo? And how do I get from that to Children of the Corn? Like,
Yeah.
and most of the time, you can spot movies that are made like that because they're shit and they don't really hang together, and they feel flimsy and loose and sort of bolted together. Whereas this feels cohesive all the way through. I mean, some characters make some very fucking stupid decisions. I give that a pass because
Yeah, I don't know what you mean necessarily, but to me, nobody did anything that felt off the map of their character. Do you know what I mean?
well, so everybody in this world, right? Everybody knows that these demons A exist,
Yeah.
B that they get more powerful if you kill them, more powerful if you call them by their names.
Yeah.
They will try and manipulate you to say go into a room and get an axe or whatever. Like these are all things, and then characters are shooting them in the fucking head. Characters are running around trying to find axes that are definitely not there and are obviously not going to be there. Like,
Yeah. The thing I liked about that, not to excuse any, unearned, bizarre choices, but to me, there's a through line in this movie that these demons are speaking to you in your head,
yeah,
and are manipulating your thoughts. So what I love is that they didn't do the bullshit Hollywood thing of having you hear the whispers of the demon, or giving you a POV shot with demonic voices. You're just left to sit there with crickets and an Argentinian sunset and be like, fucking hell, that demon must have said something pretty persuasive to make you smash yourself in the face with an axe until you were dead.
Yeah, I just
Wow.
sort of wish that they would act that.
Right.
They would act like they were listening or something, which they don't do, because you wouldn't
Yeah.
do that if you heard a voice in your head. But in
Yeah.
order to
I see what you
make
mean,
that
yeah.
moment land, just act as if you're hearing something.
Yeah. I mean, I liked the decision to trust the little girl and go look for the axe in that moment, because that felt like something you might actually do. Like, the kids are clearly lying, but they're also kids.
Yeah.
And there's just something inherently difficult for that character, I think, in that moment to just disregard what he's being told and just kind of carry on a pretty impossible task when he's being given the perfect alternative. And that's a really pivotal moment in the film that didn't feel fucked to me, really. I thought, like, you could forgive that guy for making that one little whoopsie and going into the other room for 2 seconds. Just
I mean,
see
he
if it was
also
there.
left his mum alone with someone that was definitely possessed.
I don't think he knew at that point, though, right?
She'd already told him.
Yeah, but I don't think he believed her. Again, that's what I mean. Like, there's so much room for discussion of characters' motivations because nothing's telegraphed, and you're not given the inside, this is definitely what's happening because Hollywood. You're just left with the naked sound of the environment and people's voices and their actions, and you're left to decipher them independently, which I've got a huge amount of respect for. Because it would be so easy to just fucking telegraph that shit, just write it all over everything. The thing that holds the whole movie together for me, in the way that you were just talking about how some movies just feel like a batshit comic strip of random nonsense glued together. This has, because it's steeped in this very, very specific and detailed mythology that's laid out by several characters in that trailer breadcrumbs way. You have a set of rules, you have a history, you have a kind of a bunch of prerequisites that obviously have to be in place for the narrative to take place effectively, and then you have little bits of information revealed along the way, all the way up to the very end. And a lot of movies like that, I feel like they're making it up as they go along. Like, they were running out of ideas in the script and they just started coming up with excuses for shit to explode or whatever. But this movie just doesn't feel like that at all to me. It feels so well thought out and planned, and the drip feeding of information is both scary and intriguing and exciting. All three of those. And that just fucking rips dick hole for me. Like, just so fucking cool.
Yeah, I mean, I wavered a little bit towards the very end, but like, ending any kind of horror story,
Yeah.
Stephen King will tell you, is fucking challenging. So
Yeah,
like,
and the stakes got weird at the end. Like,
yeah,
it's hard to know what the consequences are of any potential outcomes when you're watching fairly long end sequence. You're like, well, what happens if this? What happens if this? And it is difficult to know. And that level of mystery maybe sucks a little bit of air out of the drama.
yeah, and I found that it never quite found the tension again after the Cujo attack scene, because
That was a real peak. Yeah.
because like we spent so long being like, this isn't going to happen, is it? This isn't going to happen, is it? Like, they're not going to do that. Like,
Well, I gotta be honest,
then-
I didn't think that because I didn't see it coming at all. When that
Really?
dog bit that kid's head, I was just, I think I literally went, fuck. Like, I just didn't see it coming. So good.
they tee it up in a really specific way. Obviously, the dog sniffs around all the clothes,
Yeah.
and then like we just like only see it from behind after that in a really sort of ominous shot, which made me think that they were teeing up Pedro to be possessed at the end, because there was like the scene or a sequence of shots after they get back from getting rid of the original Rotten, Uriel.
Yeah.
He's shot the exact same way. It's like match cut just from behind. He's taking up the same space in the shot. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, well, we know that this dog is a demon at this point. So does that mean that he's a demon? Maybe he just likes that framing device. But
Yeah.
like we spend so long just like with the dog taking up so much of the frame. It's like fuck, we know it's going to happen. It's
You're
just
down
like,
at like kid's eye level at that point
Yeah.
as well, and you're just like, something bad's gonna. I didn't think the dog was gonna fucking chomp the kid's head off, but I just because I didn't know how the fuck they would pull that off in this movie. Mostly,
Yeah.
my brain was like, nah, not possible, can't do it. Just astonishing place to go, and yeah, like how nice is it to not have a quick close up with like a sting to show you that someone's possessed, like ring, the dog's possessed. Like fuck you, just pick your spot and let the fucking mayhem unfold.
Yeah.
Wowie, wow,
Like-
wowie, wow.
Most American movies, most reasonably mainstream horror movies would give you the shot that shows you that the dog is possessed and the little girl is right there, and then it
Yeah.
would cut to outside the house and you would hear the screams, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, we get a gigantic dog galloping down the street with a little girl's head in its mouth, just chucking its body around. It was so fucking hell. I laugh when I get really like shocked by a movie. Claire will tell you when we watched Hereditary in the cinema, like people were shushing me because I was laughing so much. Fucking hell, I was in hysterics. It was so bad. Whoa, that was graphic and bleak. And it does a few of those, man. It's not like we're going to have this one big hit.
The road of tension to that release is so genius.
Yeah.
It just never quite finds the height of tension before the dog attacks the girl. In that split second before it happens, when you're at like absolute edge to perfection.
Yeah.
It never quite finds that moment again.
Yeah, and that would have been nice as an ending, right? To have that level of tension, especially when it's a real downer, like The Mist style ending. But that schoolroom scene it's difficult to imagine, you know, what kind of audience would derive that level of pleasure that we're talking about getting from the dog scene. But there's bound to be people out there who find that so obscenely creepy. That whole setup, the whole, you know, the level of the stakes and everything else. It's nice. It's like a slightly nihilistic flow to the ending. It's just gradual loss of everything you love and all hope, and a settling into like a really profound despair to close the film. It's less dramatic. You're right. There's less tension. It's rewarding in a different way, and in a way that I really enjoyed at that point in the movie because I felt like I was coming down. Like it's fucking been on such a ride. But yeah, in terms of like the atmosphere of the movie, to have those incredibly dramatic peaks in horror tension and then return to like this almost, I can't think of another word for it other than like a sort of idyllic rural quiet. It's just so fucking unsettling. It's just really well done.
It absolutely is. And like the scenes that get you between the horror, because like the horror is basically punctuation. It's just like exclamation points in the script, and the real story is like this horrible journey that this guy and like people that he is vaguely around is going through, and like it's so neatly done and nicely written, and like the performances seem good to me. It's really hard to gauge a performance in a language that you don't speak.
I think that's true of dog shit giallo movies, but I think this is so well performed. The script is brilliant and no one fucks around. Like, I'm watching human faces deliver words in such a powerful way. Like, these aren't horror actors, really, in my opinion, just from this one watch. Like, these aren't people who are just doing splatter movies. These seem like really seriously strong actors with huge range and depth. And I just think, fucking hell. To pull off what Ezekiel Rodriguez pulls off in this movie and not have the key to the city in horror fandom is bananas to me. It's such a strong performance. Phenomenal.
Can we talk a little bit about something that I think is your favorite word, problematic, in this movie?
Yeah, sure. Go on.
Do you know what it's going to be?
No, don't fucking care. Go on.
So, I think it's cool.
Oh, it's autism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea that like an American filmmaker wouldn't have the strength of character to be like, okay, but how does being demonically possessed affect non-verbal or autistic people or developmentally disabled people, because that's quite a scary place to go. And not horror scary, but like it's a difficult or challenging conversation to have with yourself, and then also with the audience, in a way that it could very easily be very, very insensitive. Right. And it's not especially sensitive here, but I think it's maybe kind of problematic that it kind of suggests that developmental disabilities are, demonic possessions. But
I don't think it does that at all. I think it says more about rural Argentinian people having believed that in the past and having evolved their understanding of it over time. Well, I don't know. What are you saying? Finish your point before I know what I think.
I don't really have a cogent point. I think that verbalizing that these things that are, normal behaviors for someone who's got a developmental disability as demonic possession traits is problematic, but the concept of the effect of demonic possession on someone who has, autism or cerebral palsy or whatever, like, I think that's an interesting angle that is difficult.
Oh, okay. So you're saying like because he obviously has like limited mobility, when he's possessed, he just jumps up and starts walking around and talking, completely out of character for what we've seen for the whole previous hour and half of the movie.
The idea is that in the movie he's been possessed this whole time, right?
I don't know. I don't necessarily think that's true.
Well, she says that he's possessed now, and it's because his hands are clawed and his feet are doing, disabled things.
Yeah.
So like,
but that's quite a ways into the movie, right?
Yeah.
Halfway, maybe.
Yeah. The insinuation for me is that like that's what he's always done.
Right. Or that he hasn't had his medication, so
yeah,
maybe some aspects are more severe. Yeah.
So I think that, and like, he's obviously been disabled this whole time and hasn't been just getting up and walking around and being spooky and darting his eyes back and forth in a way that lets you know that he's really in there, or that he's not really in there. It's the demon. And so the insinuation is like the possession creature, whatever it is that's inside him, has just been stuck in there for ages, and then because of the release of evil that's going on in the wider world, he becomes strong enough that he can overpower the disabled brain of this child and start to walk around. Again, like, I think it's interesting and it's cool. I want to say brave to like make that do that. Because
it's not what I thought happened. I guess that's why I hadn't really thought about it. I thought he was possessed when he just like jumped up and started walking around. I thought before that we were in really fun is he, isn't he territory, and there were multiple takes coming in from different angles saying yes he is, no he isn't, and the audience is put in a position where they have to go to that difficult place of judgment and base an opinion about what's happening to this character on very loaded ideas and what the movie is feeding you. So I thought that was totally fine till you reframed it that way. Now I don't know if it's brave. I just think it's great. I think placing that character in that scene is so emotionally evocative, so difficult to watch, so fun, and really well performed. I just don't think it brings too much baggage. I just think it's fucking cool.
By brave, I mean like most American filmmakers or whatever wouldn't touch that.
They do it differently for sure, and it would fucking be so sanitized and boring and fucking middle of the road. You're not going to get it, are you? You're not going to get that.
No, and like, it's very rare. I mean, think about fucking Franklin in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Obviously, he's a disabled character, not developmentally disabled as far as we know. And it's such a weird and unsympathetic and horrible portrayal of a shithead that just happens to be in a wheelchair. And then like you basically get zero disabilities in horror movies until like the Babadook?
What year is Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
74.
Oh, okay. Well, you get Mark Jarvis in Friday the 13th Part 2. I
Oh
want to
yeah.
say.
I guess you also
who's-
get Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I think you get a ton. They're all, apart from Mark Jarvis, who I think is done well. Yeah, we're talking about a time where the exploitation of people in a whole range of positions was rife in movies. So no one's getting a fair shake. Nobody's dignity is being particularly prioritized.
I would say that white men's dignity was doing all right in that time.
Maybe not. Yeah, okay. But I'm talking specifically about not white men, obviously.
Okay.
Everybody else. And I think portrayals of a whole fucking swathe of humanity throughout that period of time, we're talking about the 70s, 80s, and 90s, is not cool.
No.
However, in this movie, I think this is fucking brilliant. Like, I got someone tell me I'm wrong, happy to be told that I'm wrong, but I didn't feel like this was going places that were particularly upsetting.
I think it skirted a couple of lines for me, but it never crossed them.
Yeah, it's the old fucking thing of like, you've got, are you allowed to have a character who makes judgments about a person with a disability? Yes, you fucking are.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Move on. That is a character, a fictional character. It's not the views of the director. It's not telling the audience what to think and what to do. So it's fine.
But like, that person is the expert. So it means that within the world of the movie, if we trust the expert...
she's basically like a rural witch doctor. She's like the Van Helsing of Rottens. Like, I'm not putting her assessment of mental health on a pedestal here, or like her, her understanding of developmental disabilities or the autistic spectrum or anything. To me, she's like a wild-eyed woman who lives in a house with no electricity, running around with like some mechanism for removing demons. Unproven at this point, by the way. There is no proof that she knows what she's doing at all, apart from what she says. And she is like the ex-love interest of one of the main characters. I regarded her with healthy suspicion throughout the movie, and I don't think she's supposed to be the doctor of the film, should we say?
I think she is. I think the lore of the film is that she was part of this big organization.
Yeah. No evidence. We don't see her actually pull it off or do anything. And if she lives so close to this village... That's because the guy that you said makes no bad decisions bashes the fucking demon's head in with a fucking... Oh no, he makes bad decisions, but I understand why he makes them. If she's such a pro, such a rock solid pro, why didn't they fucking go get her for the rotten in the village that's like 2 miles away a year ago? They waited for this other guy for a year. He shows up and gets cut in half. Why didn't they fucking get this woman straight away?
I think because they didn't know, right? The one person they got cut in half, they just didn't tell anyone else.
The professional. Yeah, but why didn't they get her in the first place? Like, if they've got an abundance of these exorcists knocking around this town, why wasn't she top of the list? I don't think she's legit.
Do you think she's a freelance?
Yeah, very much a loosey-goosey freelance. I'd like to see her Kosh OSHA paperwork. I want to know what kind of work she's doing in there.
Yeah. Show us your NEBOSH certificate.
Yeah, love that whole lore, by the way. Love all that lore, that there are essentially exorcists out, like, demon outing these rottens. Rotten as well, which is what a new thing to bring into the lexicon of horror. Rotten. So good. So full of that stuff, this movie. Great. Just linguistically brilliant as well written.
Yeah, and for the most part, like, practical effects. Wonderful.
Top shelf. The rotten in question, what's his name? Uriel.
Yeah.
Just magnificent. I couldn't take my eyes off him. So good. I've looked at loads of pictures of the guy since, just to look at the makeup. Like, it's just amazing. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, that's incredible. Yeah. I think, like, the stuff with the dog biting the girl's head, the motion of it is a bit janky, but like, it's because it's so fast. Because I think it's artificially slowed down, because in reality it would be too fast for you to see.
Sure.
So like, that is a bit of a jar. But like, the scene of like his rotten ex-wife walking down the street, scooping the brains out of his darling child Santino.
Yeah.
Oof.
Just kind of sucking it like a big, thick mouthful of spaghetti.
Yeah.
Like you'll suck up a little one strand every now and then just for fun.
Yeah.
When you spoon like an entire mouthful of spaghetti and suck it all in at once. Yeah, it looked incredible. The scene with the dog, I'm going to make a pretty wild comparison here. I think it looked as good as it possibly could, all things considered. Like, it happened so quick. Again, like, if you're dumb like me, you don't necessarily think they're going to go there, and that's actually going to happen. I thought I was being queued up for, like, a miscue or something, so it just wham, wham,
so
gone.
did I. That's why the tension was so high. It was because it's like, they can't do it. They absolutely...
Yeah.
Like, but we know that we literally saw a goat get shot in the face at point blank range, like, and a woman axe her own face off, like, 6 minutes
I
before.
think that,
so, like,
even that exists in a different tier of will they, won't they go there to me. Like, shooting a goat, sure, fucking, that's animals get blown to bits in loads of movies and no one gives a fuck. Axing your own face, yeah, that was a massive step up in the violence in the movie for sure. But I sort of thought we were going to stay there. And I was a bit worried we were going to stay there, to be honest. I thought, is this going to be zombie stuff from now on? And there's going to be a 45-minute chase scene of axes and zombies. Nope. Dogs are going to bite kids' heads off and run around streets with them like rag dolls. But the special effect itself, I recently watched the movie Vacation, the National Lampoon reboot with Ed Helms.
Oh, Ed Helms,
yeah. And the very funny, by the way. I'm going to go out there and say it was a great movie. But the visual effects are appalling because they're so of the time. And they have that jerky, sped-up CGI feel to them that just ruins everything. Like when someone gets knocked across a room and it's like, well, that wasn't real. This felt way better than that. So I can give it the better than Vacation thumbs up for visual effects.
Better than the reboot of Vacation. Wow.
Yeah, I know. High praise. But again, like, we're working with different limitations here. That should have been really good. It has no excuse to have so much shocking garbage visually in it. This has no excuse to be this phenomenal. Like, I just can't believe how good it is.
It's a feat. And it's almost a crime that, like, it's Argentinian and therefore subtitled and as a result has half the audience that it should have.
It's definitely not going to reach the audience it deserves, because the world is fucking dumb as a shoe. I feel great about watching this and doing it for the pod because I'm not sure it would have crossed my radar even. I don't have Shudder, so maybe not. This is why you should tell your friends about good horror movies. Ben,
that's what we're doing. That's why we're here.
Yeah, we're trying. It's a fucking really handsome guy, by the way, this Ezekiel Rodriguez. What a fucking good-looking dude.
His hair is so impossible to me. In the movie, it's so thick and so shaggy and then also so short. I was like, it's impossible hair. It was so tall.
Impossible hair. Yeah. But again, like, it belies a subtlety of, like, costume work in this movie. The costumes are all fantastic. The wardrobe's brilliant because it all just feels so real. You just don't even notice what you're seeing. And the same with hair and makeup. Everyone looks there's elements of this where, stuff like No Country for Old Men and Mud and stuff like that looks contrived and almost, try hard compared to how lived in these characters look on screen. And that's not easy, I don't think. I think that's harder than making Leonardo DiCaprio look hot. He's already hot. Make a hot guy look slightly rougher, but in a really believable way, like he's been literally toiling on a farm for 25 years. That's tricky.
Yeah, I mean, he has that sort of, and again, this is a bit of a James Mangold connection, but he has that sort of Hugh Jackman in, like, Old Man Logan sort of space.
Yeah, but they're also not afraid to just have, like, skinny, drawn, tired people on screen for basically the whole movie. And again, that's wonderful to me. The whole movie's so refreshing in that regard. Unafraid, very clever, and artfully rendered shit.
Can we maybe talk a bit about the lore and I'd like to try to understand it a bit more.
Sure. You're talking to the wrong guy.
I think just sort of talking it out will help.
Yeah, sure.
So, this world, there are at least, what's the word? Recorded instances of like these demonic possessions, and they normally happen in the cities. They tell you not to use electric lights because the shadow of electric lights helps the demons grow or something. I wrote it down. Hang on.
I think it draws them in, doesn't it? Electric lights draw them in, and then the shadows misbehave or behave differently when there's demonic presence nearby.
But yeah, it was something like that. And like, so is the implication that it's the fact that they're happening in the cities and it's like modern technology based? Is it that the curse of like modernism is the thing that's affecting or infecting the world and is sort of slowly seeping out into these more rural communities? Like, is that what you think? Is that something? Is that anything?
I think the whole movie allegorically is talking about how cities and city life and modernity opens the door to evil in a way that is almost wholly unchecked, whereas a simpler way of life, a smaller community existence, less so. And then it juxtaposes that nicely with this kind of witch hunt thread, the idea of just killing the rotten. You know, in my mind, in this expanded universe, there's people who just get, you know, fairly run-of-the-mill illnesses and are just fucking like executed by mad exorcists for, you know, manifesting symptoms of an illness that is wholly curable. So I thought that was so infectious, pun intended, because it just gives you so much room to think beyond the lens of the movie. You don't see a city, you don't, you know, it's barely even mentioned, but you're given this wonderful thread of allegory that carries you through the movie, and you start to question it thematically on different levels. And that was really clever and really enticing to me. It kept me totally hooked. Yeah, I think you're massively onto something there.
I think, like, this is a movie that deserves, like, a Purge-style, world-expanding set of sequels. Like,
Sure.
You could set 20 movies in this world.
But what I liked about this world is that it felt like it wasn't some... You know, it wasn't a huge stretch to get there for me because it felt real. It feels as real to me as the Catholic Church exorcising demons from, you know, kids in Massachusetts. It didn't feel... It feels real to me in the exact same way The Exorcist does. The lore is not a stretch. It feels like it comes from a place of love and respect for a culture rather than, you know, rewriting a nation's history to fucking fit some dumb Hollywood narrative. It feels culturally sensitive in that regard. And yeah, I just felt like I slipped into a place I'd never been rather than a world that had been created for my entertainment.
I also wondered if there was maybe a bit of a COVID analogy or
possibly
read, because like there are very clear rules that are set out by people and nobody follows the rules and they all fucking have a shit time as a result.
It's not a bad shout. Yeah, it's 2023, you know. I don't know when it was made, but that shit is very much you know,
like
in everyone's consciousness by this point.
Yeah, I don't think that maybe he was like, I'm going to make a movie about these dickheads that didn't follow COVID protocols or whatever, but like,
no.
I think it's, if you're making an infection movie in 2023, like, it's got to be there somewhere in the recesses of your psyche.
Yeah, if anything, he's just drawing from observations of that whole period and the paranoia and the, you know, the loss, the tragedy, all of it. And again, that brings a layer of realness to the contagion factor of the movie that is, again, doubly compelling because it's another subgenre. We get a fucking contagion movie in here as well. Like the first half of the movie is a contagion movie, which creates a whole different kind of anxiety to a lot of other subgenres that we touch on. Monster movie, vampire, zombie, all of it. So Children of the Corn, whatever. It's all different shades of fear, and it's all sprinkled in at the right time. It all grows from one into the next naturally. And that's, I know I keep saying this, but I just don't think that's easy to do, and it commands an enormous amount of respect. 2023 got to be on the mind, you know.
A question about the artificial lights. So, like, when they're driving, obviously they're doing that thing with the headlights, so the headlights aren't on the whole time. Surely that's worse because you're putting the artificial light on and then you're giving the darkness space to be scary.
What, like you're attracting it with the light and then you're turning it off and
Yeah.
you don't know? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's impossible to me to fathom the logic of trying to navigate darkness without light for fear of attracting demons while you're trying to find a demon. Like, that's not an easy spot to be in. So a lot of the character logic tracks for me because what the fuck else would you do? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If even like small batteries and electrical components in cars are going to attract demons, like, what are you going to do? Walk around with a pitchfork and just hope you find what you're looking for? It's tough.
Like, as well, like modern technology, how far back are we going? Is like a torch on a stick.
Artificial
Stick
light
torch.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, like-
I think they specify electric light, but yeah. Isn't it so ominous when she says the lights of the town have gone out? The
Yeah.
protocol has been enacted or whatever. Like, holy shit, there's a protocol. Oy, oy, oy. Yeah, scary, man. I love the idea that this kind of demon goes unchecked in a big city as well. That, like, these are just like the Patrick Batemans of this universe. Like, the city is just teeming with these psychopaths walking around eating their kids' brains. Like the New York of your dreams, basically.
Yeah. 1977 New York.
Yeah.
I just like you spend so much time like in the world of this movie, and like I think one of the great things is that it gives you so much space to think about all of the shit that's happening outside of this county, outside of this town or whatever, to like really hone in on it. Like you talk a lot about how you like a real sense of place in a movie, and you really get it here, but you also just get like a whole realized world.
Yeah.
And you're able to fill in a million blanks. And I mean, you might fill them in differently to how I fill them in, but we're both filling
That's
them
the
in.
joy of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking, what a movie. What a great movie.
Yeah, and I think doubly impressive, I think, is that this is directed by a 44-year-old, which feels like a pretty mature place for a filmmaker, but still quite young in a lot of ways. So
Yeah.
there's aspects of this movie that feel, in the best possible way, almost influenced by video games. The whole end sequence in the school felt quite video gamey to me in a really good way. And I thought, this director must be young enough to know what he's doing in terms of even introducing that dynamic to a scene. Because as soon as you do that in a big budget Hollywood movie, it's immediately cynically dismissed as being the future cash in of this becoming a video game, or just playing on the audience's lack of attention span, obsession with first person perspective, me narrative, etc. But it felt like it introduced the tension and the perspective of really well made horror video games without just fawning to that whole genre. And I think his age is significant. He's born in 79, so we know what kind of movies he's raised on. We know what kind of a world he's grown up in politically. And to put this movie out in 2023 when you're 44, this isn't slapdick nothing cinema. This is like probably incredibly important to him in his career. And I think it just feels that way from start to finish. You don't feel like you're watching something throwaway even for a minute.
Definitely not. I think like I hadn't really considered his age, but like given that he's only a few years older than us, like his vision of the world, although if he's from, rural Argentina, it's probably a little bit different, but like
I don't know, man.
a lot of his cultural touch points will be similar, if not the same. I mean, he didn't grow up in fucking suburban North Wales, so who had it really hard? I'll let the audience decide that one.
Who had it harder? Yeah, he's not Welsh, that's for sure. Oh, he grew up in Buenos Aires, I think, so. Or Buenos Aires.
So he's a
if you wanna
city
say it
boy.
properly. Yeah, city boy, mate. I bet he's not from the city. I bet he's from somewhere outside the city. You can't make a movie that rural and not know what it's all about, I think that's real.
Yeah. I feel like in order to be a director, you have to just have this insane level of like empathy.
Yeah.
Especially if you're
And
like
those
a
that
writer
fail
director.
don't.
Yeah. The empathy that you have is either for your characters or for the audience. And so like a filmmaker like say Adam Green, who made Hatchet, his empathy is solely with the audience. What do the audience want from me here? What do the audience need from me next? Whereas the empathy here is much more like, okay, I put these characters in a situation. How would this person with this specific set of circumstances and the character history that we've touched upon but haven't necessarily fleshed out in the movie, how would they navigate their way through this? And like, it's incredible to see someone just get that so right.
For a change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of layers to it, I think. And I'll be the first one to admit I don't know anything about directing movies, but it always strikes me profoundly when a director clearly has that empathy and when they've been able to connect with a cast that has it too. You pair actors with a deep and profound understanding of human nature with a director who understands empathy and has it for his subject matter, and you're onto a winner immediately. And I'm watching that movie every time. But you also have directors with a more playful notion of that speculative element, the what ifs, a curiosity about human nature that doesn't necessarily have answers, and they're not teaching you a lesson, they're just playing out the what ifs, and that feels a lot more like a kid in a sandbox, and that's just as fun and just as valuable. But the trick for me is when you get, that's why, I've compared it already, but that's why this had so many shades of Shotgun Stories to it, because you pair Jeff Nichols with Michael Shannon on a debut album style movie, a first feature movie, and there's just this like palpable emotional resonance between director and lead in that, and it feels exactly the same in this. To be honest, it's a very similar relationship, I bet. And again, put that in a rural setting that the director understands and empathizes with the inhabitants of. You just can't really fuck it up until you start navigating the minefield of the horror genre, which is where it could all so easily fall apart. Like, horror lives and dies with empathy, in my opinion. And if you step on one of those whoopsies, you can fucking ruin the entire thing. So, yeah, much respect for dancing through the minefield, gleefully singing in the face of failure. This is a big win.
Will you give it up, man? Nobody's out there. We're alone. Oh no, there's somebody out there. I'm picking up all this crosstalk.
Okay, Sam, I'm back. Are you back?
Back.
So, Sam Russo, you have released some tour dates, I believe, in the
Me?
north of America.
By the time this goes out, I hopefully will have. Yeah. Going on tour with Elway in May. We're going to Pooza Fest via Denver, Chicago. I'm not sure yet. Possibly some other places. Kansas City, maybe Colorado Springs. Get full dates at redscare.net or at Sam Russo Music.
While you're at redscare.net, maybe buy a record or a t-shirt.
Definitely buy a record. We got some good Red Scare bands touring in the UK soon. We've got Broadway Calls playing Manchester Punk Festival.
Yep.
Some good shit coming, gang. Keep your eyes peeled. Summer at Red Scare is always a good time. So, yeah, check it out, redscare.net.
Okay, Sam. Would you like to sum up first?
I feel like I've summed up pretty much already. This was a blindside surprise banger for me, and I have so much respect for the entire cast and the filmmakers and everyone involved. I think it's such a beautiful film. It's incredibly scary, and it's very, very well made. I love where it goes in terms of touching on a bigger aspect of social consciousness that isn't just, you're not pummeled with it. I think what I respect most is the subtlety of the message of the movie, how much it leaves to imagination, how much it leaves to speculation, how much fun you could have talking about this at a late night diner after seeing it at the cinema. All of those things are pure, beautiful, resonant magic to me. So I'm giving it 9.5 big head chomping Cujo dogs out of 10.
Wowzeroo. That's a
Massive.
high score from Sammy Russo.
I said out loud while I was watching this movie in the bath several times, fuck me, this might be a 10. I said it so many times. I was so worried that it was going to be a 10. It's not quite as good as Killer Clowns by the sound of things. But, dude, it's fucking up there. 9.5. I can't say why I haven't given it 10, really. Maybe just aspects of the ending not quite, like you said, reaching the fever pitch of earlier. But I love that. So I don't know why that's holding me back from a 10. I just think it's absolutely superb.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think, like, the subtleness of the lore building and, like, it treads a really magical line because, like, you have to be subtle in as much as like this is day to day for these people.
Yeah.
But also as the audience, we don't know that.
Yeah.
So like in a sitcom, they'd be like, guys, will you calm down? I'm really trying to practice my monologue for Mr. Feeney's drama class. Whereas like in a decent movie where someone's taken some time to write a proper script, it's like so much more difficult to be like, okay, how do we tease out this lore in a way where we would just talk about it normally, being two characters that exist in this world, and it doesn't feel like expository dialogue for the sake of the audience. And the fact that they managed that is incredible.
Yeah, it's really subtle and beautiful exposition that you don't feel spoon-fed, which I love.
Yeah, and the practical effects were just spectacular. Some of them looked ropey. I think there was some CGI there. I think maybe when he bashes the Uriel's head in at the end is a bit CG and didn't look super good. But for the most part, like the stuff with Uriel in the bed at the beginning, and he's just covered in those demonic bed sores.
Yeah, leaking pus.
Ugh.
Wow.
Like, I felt like I could smell it when they were carrying him out on the sheet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's so...
When she talked about the children's breath, I felt like I could smell it as well. So really evocative performance there. Fantastic. I'll tell you what, it really made me want to try green apple fucking ice cream. Holy crap, yes please. I don't think I've ever had that.
I don't think I've had that either, and I would fuck with that hard.
I would destroy that.
Yeah.
Even if it had all of my mum's hair in it. Go on, carry on.
My favourite shot in the movie
Yeah.
was a tiny little throwaway shot when they're driving Uriel's rotten body. He's not dead, but it's his body. And they're just sort of driving close to a field, and there's like just a calf, a bull calf, like running alongside the truck.
Yeah.
I just was like, it's nothing. Like nothing's happening, but it's just so incredibly beautiful. We know that like the evil has a weird effect on animals.
Yeah.
But like just as a visual, it's just really incredibly beautiful and like rural and wonderful just to see this little bull calf like toddling alongside the truck. I just thought it was great.
Yeah, like chronologically, I'm not sure where that happens. Have we already had the goat by that point?
No, it's before so it's when they're driving the body out 300 kilometers to.
So we
to
don't
get rid
know
of
that
it.
it has that effect on animals. So it's great foreshadowing.
Yeah,
Fucking
like
brilliant.
it feels like a vaguely normal thing that maybe a cow or a bull calf
maybe it would. And then you learn that it fucks with animals, and you're like, maybe it fucking wouldn't. What calf would run along next to a truck? Are you out of your mind? That's great. That's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Always keeping you off balance. Always lulling you into a place where you feel like all of this is normal and everything's fine, and then a dog chomps your kid. Just get fucked. I was in bits. Really good film.
As a score, I would give this 14 squelchy handfuls of child brains scooped directly from the sword open noggin of your 8-year-old son out of 16.
Hot from the cranium. 16 brains.
The Foley.
14 out of 16.
The Foley in that moment.
Savage.
I felt like I was doing it. I felt like I was scooping the brains out. Like
it's like someone squelching a bowl full of jelly or something. Like, yeah, come on.
It was. Oh,
you gotta admit though,
go on.
if you're going to eat brains, I think kids' brains would be best, and I think kids' brains from a Latin country. Now you're talking my language.
Yeah, I would definitely cook brains if I was going to eat them.
Ooh, I don't know. We've seen Hannibal do it.
Yeah.
And they look pretty tasty. Now I'm raw brains all the way. Give me the raw brains.
I feel like Hannibal, the TV show Hannibal, all of that human flesh that he cooks looks like the most delicious meal I've ever seen in my life. So like, I'm team cook the human meat all day, every day.
Cook the human meat. Yeah, I'm way more in the cannibal side of things, bud. Way more
You
about
can be a cannibal and still cook it. It's still cannibalism.
All right. I'm of a more primitive school of cannibalism whereby We Hey, bud, eating cooked human flesh is not cannibalism, okay? If you cook it, it doesn't count. That is just the tip of cannibal arguments.
They cook it in Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, true. All right, okay. I'm like the raw vegan of cannibalism. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a hot take. That was a series of hot takes. As you
I'll
sort of
cook
fell down it.
animals, but I'm going to eat raw human.
Well, you won't cook animals, will you? You won't even.
No,
eat
in the world where I'm a cannibal, I will. I won't even fucking look at an animal nowadays.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would be scared to look at an animal in case it speaks to me directly in my brain and I shoot it in the face.
Ate my head, yeah.
So I don't get scared when I'm watching movies, but when I go outside for a cig afterwards and it's dark and I'm in like the bin store behind my apartment building,
Yeah.
I am terrified constantly. Like after I've watched like a reasonably scary movie, that's when I get scared. When I'm out there, there's no light out there. I'm just stood in the dark, and there's definitely rats that are in the vicinity, and like just feels like a scary place to be. And last night when I went out after watching this, I was probably the most scared I've been out there ever.
Triple X
Just
scared.
Yeah, just like, you know, is there a goat? Is there a dog? Is there a woman with a
Is there a
child?
demon? No, there's definitely not a woman. Is there? Is there a demon? Yeah, a lot of good post movie thinks and feels from this. I spent a long time with this, not long enough. I kind of wish I hadn't watched it last night, but this is an absolute revisit for me. I would definitely watch this again. I'm kind of glad I bought it, to be honest. This is a movie I feel like I can lend my full support to, and I would encourage other people to do so. I would recommend this film if that hasn't been made clear yet.
Yeah, it was your 9.5 out of 10. Would not recommend.
Yeah, would not recommend.
Don't waste your time.
I wouldn't recommend it to the kind of people who don't like violence on kids, is all I would say. Because apparently there's a huge demographic of people out there who wouldn't touch this movie with a barge pole if they found out what happened to the kids in the movie. So I guess at the very end of the podcast, fair warning, if you don't like violence to kids, don't watch it.
Yeah, trigger warning now.
Told you where to get the movie, how fucking incredible and unmissable it is, and then at the very end said, oh, by the way, some kids get munched. Come on, fuck you, you're a grown-up, do your own research.
Follow us on our various social media accounts. It's at FT Horror Show. Make sure wherever you're listening to this, you rate, review, and if you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed and have automatic downloads turned on. And we'll see you next time for another horror movie in 1 week. What do you say to that, Sam?
I say you're getting really good at ending these, bud.